All right, we are live now with the 11th episode of Script Chat. It is the 27th of November, 2022. It's a little after noon Eastern Time, New York time. That's 17 GMT. Hope that all of you viewers in the United States and in Canada had a fantastic Thanksgiving. I know I did. And we're really grateful that you are here. Hopefully, if you are here, that's really awesome. And we appreciate you giving up a little bit of what could be argued as a holiday weekend, giving up a couple hours on it to hang out with me today. But it's not just me. We've got Jabari here. Jabari is a distinguished and noteworthy fellow from the Juicy crew. And he might be in some other places too. He can correct me if my introduction is inaccurate or a little bit misleading. But we have Jabari here because Jabari and Juicy are organizing a tournament that I want you guys to know about. And we're actually going to help Jabari with one of the maps. So hello and welcome to Script Chat, Jabari.
Hey, thanks for the introduction, Tack. I am indeed pretty much only affiliated with Juicy. I'm a pretty independent AoE guy, not too deep in the world, though I guess as I'm hosting tournaments and stuff, I'm getting a little deeper.
That's great. Welcome. So Jabari, tell us a little bit about this tournament and like how we need to look at the maps for this tournament, because the settings have a huge impact on how people interpret the maps, right? Arabia might be, for instance, a completely different map under a different set of different set of settings.
Yep. So the tournament is called Banano 2 King of the Jungle. It is an 8-man free-for-all King of the Hill, no regicide, no diplo tournament. It's supposed to be a meme tournament. I guess it's originally sponsored / inspired by the Banano meme coin, though we also have another $1,000 sponsor for this one. So yeah, I guess we're actually kind of on the fence. We want standard maps as to not scare people away. We think that the play experience, especially on like a free for all or something, we don't need to have the map make things more interesting. An 8-man free for all already has enough dynamics. Having maps that everybody's familiar with, I think, would be a plus. But we do want to add a few mimetic elements, if you know what I mean, like meme-like things, if possible, just to create a basic jungle banana theming. And yeah, there's other additional considerations. For example, like we do want a Black Forest map, because Black Forest is, in my opinion, the most classic map that the most players have like fond childhood or early AoE memories of. But the default generation of Black Forest often has the monument spawning in the middle of a forest, literally inaccessible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we might need some modifications for that. Multiple experienced free-for-all players have also suggested that we slightly expand the all visible region around the center of the monument.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if you might be able to help us with that.
Yeah.
And one final stretch request, which I'm just bringing up for the first time now, is if we could somehow like emblazon one of the map's terrains with some sort of image, perhaps the Banano logo or the sponsor's logo, that would be dope. But that is definitely an above and beyond thing, which should only probably be considered once we have everything else set up. There's like a ton of admin and prep work with everything already, so I've really hesitated to go with anything that requires a ton of work, which is also why I've been inclined towards the standard map set.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, I mean, folks do prefer to play with what they're comfortable with, and this is something that I've noticed both in a tournament that I've hosted and just in other tournaments that I've seen. The same amount of money will get you more participation for standard maps, at least for now. Now, once we figure those standard maps out, perhaps people will have a little bit more of an appetite for custom maps. I certainly hope they do. That's what I do. That's a big part of my Age of Empires career, if you will. But I could definitely understand for these kind of weird settings to let the new Cibs and the FFA be the center of the attention for sure. At least most of it. Juicy is here in the chat. Welcome, Juicy. Juicy's a co-host of the tournament as well. So let's see what maps are we looking at for the Banano 2 FFA tournament here. We got what let's just go and show them real quick on the screen. What do you want to start with first? I'm pretty sure most
Sounds
people are going to be
good.
familiar with these, but we'll just show them.
So, for the first day, we're planning to do Arabia
Okay.
Arena. Maybe we just start with those. I feel like for these maps, literally the only adjustment we would want to make is to expand the all visible area around the monument.
Okay.
And I guess I'm also open to any like minor theming issues so that we could just rename it as Jungle Arabia. Um, I don't know if you have anything in mind for that.
Um, I'm just generating this Arabia on 8-player size. I think there might be a setting in the scenario editor. Oh no, don't freeze up on me. That allows you to plug a monument in through the generation so you can actually see
Yeah.
what it looks like. You've ever tried that, Jabari, or did you always do it
Yes, actually, I was
global
considering
victory?
since this is just like an FFA tournament, we actually didn't need random map scripts. I was considering. I was thinking it might be possible to literally just hand edit scenarios for the maps. So I did go into the scenario editor. I did see that you can set up a scenario with King of the Hill, but I was actually never able to get a scenario to generate with a visible monument.
All right.
Um,
I
yeah.
think I'm doing it now.
Yep. I don't think your
But
program's crashing. I think it's just having a hard time.
I'm
Maybe it's crashing.
not sure why this script is so heavy. It's, modern Arabia was like what, 40 lines? Yeah, I don't see it, unfortunately. So I came over here to Global Victory and selected King of the Hill mode.
Hmm.
But it's not generating the monument in the center the way that it is supposed to. So
Yeah.
I think what
And
we'll
when
do for
you
the
test the scenario, it won't be there either, in my experience.
oh no, it would be there when you oh yeah, if you go over and you hit test, it won't appear. It's only in single player that it appears hard coded in, and it'll basically just be a monument in the center with like there's nothing but rock underneath it, and then there might be like a one tile space of rock underneath it just so you can't build to it. Maybe 1 to 3 tiles in the center. But basically it goes in and it hard codes that and it adds that at the very end of after the random map script is generated. Um, so Arabia and then Arena is the
Yeah,
first
I'm
day.
pretty positive that these maps are like tried and true, rock solid tested for these settings. I think Black Forest is probably the real challenge, the thing that
Okay.
would require yeah, some serious map scripting to make viable. I've done actually free for all 8-man arena. Some of these are vouched for. For example, Ghost Lake, I've polled the opinions of some experienced free for all players and they confirmed that it's excellent for it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because of that symmetry. All right. Well,
um yeah.
let me show you, Jabari, how to for your own for the purposes of your own testing and debug. If you wanted to basically be able to generate Arabia or Arena, or we'll look at it here with Black Forest. But if you wanted to be able to just plug a monument right in the middle to be able to see in the scenario editor, we'll show that now. So
Sweet.
basically, I have created a second document here, or another document in my list of demonstrations is what I call it, and it's called Black Forest FFA demonstration. So let me see if I can find it here. Here it is, Black Forest FFA. So we'll hit generate on that, and there's not going to be anything going on because it's basically just a blank script entirely. So we're going to copy some very basic elements into it. Like I've been saying, yeah, it's just some empty dirt, right? If you want to generate a map that has that monument in the center, it's actually very simple. Come over here to objects generation, and we're going to say create actor area.
Would you mind in Discord to share your entire screen, not just the AOE window,
Oh
or
yes, sorry, good call. So we're gonna yes.
Well,
me
and I will additionally say that I appreciate this
share your screen.
traditional map scripting. Your program to generate the code for map scripting is cool and all, but writing the raw RMS script, I think, is like the way, you know.
Well, if this is intended to be educational and folks are supposed to follow along and be able to do it themselves and such, then I don't really have a choice.
Indeed.
Okay. So it's you create an actor area right in the center of the map, but unfortunately and sort of fortunately, you can't specify that as percentages. So let me just pull up my reference here for the syntax of this. Another option is I could actually try to think of a map that I have something exactly in the center. Ah, I know. So let me pull up reference material. And I'll show you in the guide where to find it, but it's very, very simple. Okay. Okay, this is what I thought. So X, Y. So the X position, the Y position, the identifier, and the radius. This is the format here. Now, if you have different size maps, you'll have to scale this. So, for example, you could go, you can look up the different sizes of the maps. Let me come over here to map sizes and I'll just show you guys on the screen. But basically, they have a certain number of tiles on each side, and this allows you to have a per tile basis or a tile by tile precision, if you will. So we're going to go in and we're actually going to come over here and we'll kind of try to pull this up on our secondary screen here. There we go. Oh, okay. And we're going to come in and we're going to say if tiny map, then do this, right? And then we'll do end if. Now, you're probably not going to be playing on Tiny, but suppose that your map is really awesome and everybody loves it and they want to use it for another tournament later on, right? Then setting this kind of stuff up is the right thing to do because it'll be easier for somebody else to apply it later. It's good work ethic. So
Yeah, no, I feel you. This is definitely a good habit, best programming practice.
Small
But
map.
as somebody who's deliberately only dabbling in map scripting just enough to achieve what I want, I personally would hard code it to large, but I would certainly not object to you following best practices and being a good programmer with this.
All right. So it's only going to take a minute here. So the identifier that we're going to need is we're going to call it act area 9999. So that's just a number, okay? Doesn't have to be anything fancy. The only thing that we should consider or require is that this number be a very large number, so that if you're copying and pasting this into another script, there is little to no chance that the actor area identifying number that you use is already used somewhere else, because then it will get confused and it won't spawn right. So for instance, if we used 1 here and we started from the smallest numbers and the script that you pasted this into already had 1 in it, then it might not generate this object or whatever object was referencing 1 correctly. So we're going to call it 9,999 and we're going to give it a radius of 0. And now we're going to specify that we want this to be 60, 60. So 60 tiles, basically halfway in from each side. So 60, 60. Okay, and now we'll take this and we'll just copy it. And then we will paste it everywhere else. And now we can just change the numbers. So half of 144 is 72. So we will plug that in there. Half of 168 is 84. So we'll plug that in there.
Nice math.
And then 100, half of 200, and then 110, and then 120 for gigantic. And ludicrous, we're not gonna work with ludicrous because it's just ludicrous. The
Yep.
games will never end if they're played on Ludicrous. It'll be forever.
Yep.
Okay.
And yep. And I assume you then tell the object to generate on actor area 9,999.
Yes. So we'll come over here and we're going to say create object, and we're going to go monument, and we're going to do set Gaia object only, and then actor area to place in, and that's going to be 9,999. All right, so then we hit save, and we should generate, and then we're going to get this object in the center of the map. There we go. So we got our monument in the center of the map, Jabari.
Very nice, man. I'll just say, like, abstractly, it's always an accomplishment to program something and have it work as expected on the first pass. So good job.
Oh, well, it was a very, thank you, but it was very simple. So all you got to do are take these, 10-ish lines of code, a little bit more than that, and copy and paste them into any map that you might be considering, and it'll paste that in there. Now, if this is done, this will actually kind of, if you did that, it would actually produce a monument. It might not produce a win condition though, but it would produce a monument in every map that you could generate, regardless of whether or not King of the Hill is selected. So do be careful about that for the purposes of programming and debugging. It's kind of like what we're going to do. It works great. So what I've also done is, if we have a mod to change the monument, will it still work? That is a great question. I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
I would assume yes. I would assume that the way that our mod will work is by replacing the graphic for every wonder in the game with the banana pile. So regardless of whether the wonder is built by a player, generated by the map script, generated by the game mode, it will be a banana pile.
Now, I know that you can upgrade this monument to look like anything else if you want it to. So they could be fighting over a castle, they could be fighting over a house, they could be fighting over Aiken Cathedral, whatever it is. The graphics of this can be manipulated, but still have the effect of it being the wonder. At least I know you can do that with random map scripting, and I know that victory conditions will still be triggered. All right, so that's very simple. Now let's add to this if we can. So I've stolen a little bit of not stolen, but I've brought up original Black Forest here, and we want a really simple create player lands command, and we're going to do that inside of the land generation. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say, except we want base terrain to be rainforest. And we want to create player lands of terrain type grass, just as a very simple example. We don't care about ludicrous size at all, so we'll get rid of this. And we'll do land %50, base size 13. Here I am talking about how great it is to make sure that you have your thing programmed right for all these different situations, and I'm deleting it. But I think ludicrous is just like it's an abomination. It shouldn't exist in the game. It's just so painful to play on ludicrous size. But I get why they did it for the scenario, because there was originally like the Viking invasion of England scenario that was, I think, released with one of the game expansions. It might have even been the Conquerors expansions, or maybe it was the Forgotten. I don't remember. Maybe Jabari remembers. But anyway, it was you had to get all of England, right? And you couldn't do it in a giant map size. As small of a country as England is, it's still an entire country. So you were Vikings, and you could choose to settle in different places and fight the English in different places. All right. So we're going to create player lands. We're going to do it with grass. We're going to do land %50, base size 13, other zone avoidance of 6 here. And this is going to be a copy paste from Black Forest, except we're going to do base terrain jungle. Okay, and then there is, okay, so there's that. So these player lands are basically going to be created as like islands of grass in a sea of jungle. So now when we hit save and we generate, we should get this monument. Maybe we won't get the monument actually. Now I see it's covered. It's covered by stuff. The monument, it would be there, but it's not because all of this jungle is in the way. But that's all right, because that's kind of the purpose of why we're here. We're here to uncover the monument, if you will, and make sure that it can always spawn properly. So here's what we're going to do for that. So we are going to create another land here. And we're going to kind of emulate this off of Amazon Tunnel, actually. So Amazon Tunnel's got this random create land at a specific position, land percent, and base size and everything like. So we're going to copy this off of Amazon Tunnel here. And we're going to paste it down here. Okay. So this land is going to get plopped exactly at position 50%, 50%. And the terrain type, oops, that we're going to want, and this is where I kind of asked Jabari, what do you want, Jabari? Would you like it to be unbuildable terrain, so they can't wall the monument in? What's your thoughts
No,
here?
definitely constructible. I want this to
Okay.
be the familiar, expected Black Forest, except with a monument and a clearing, and probably connections going to the clearing for all players.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're going to have DLC Rainforest then. Now, we're not going to constrain it with a base size or a land position, though. We're actually going to constrain it with borders. So we can have bottom border, let's say 30, top border.
I have a very general question. What do you use for your documentation? I see you like have a lot of commands and variables and things memorized, but like whenever I try to map script, I have no idea where to look things up.
Okay, an excellent question. So you saw this document here that I brought up. This is Zetnus's definitive random map scripting guide. You can get it off of the RMS server, and it has everything in it. Everything that you need to make a random map script, he's got in here. All the commands. It's incredible that people have gone through and like dug through existing random map scripts and what patchy documentation there was released by the original developers, and they built this comprehensive guide. It's fantastic. It's got the syntax skeleton with like a list of all of the commands and everything that you have to do here.
Cool.
All right. So we're going to create land, terrain type, DLC rainforest. Now, I do want to kind of show this, and I'm going to comment these out first because this is sort of text lesson here. We haven't really talked about borders at all. Basically, what is a border? Well, I'm going to bring up paint, and I will demonstrate that real quick, so I can sort of explain and show you what a border means. All right, I'm not even going to put on my special calligraphy glove here. So imagine that you have you've got this diamond, right? This diamond which represents your mini map area. Okay. Maybe I can clean this up a bit. Okay. So this is the right edge. This is the left edge. This is the bottom edge. And this up here is the top edge. I had to do a little bit of experimenting to figure out where all of these, which sides were considered top, bottom, right, left, etc. Because I don't know how well documented that is, but I have a little cheat sheet that I keep. This is position 0, 0, and this is position 100, 100. And this is 100, 0, and this is 0, 100. So if I specify that I want to land to avoid the top edge by 50, it will basically choose let's imagine that this is the center of the map, right? If I say top 50 in my land creation, it will basically say, all right, there's the top edge. I need to avoid that top edge by 50% of the left or right edge length. And so it will come in here and it'll pick a point, maybe here or here or here, anywhere that's not here, right? If I have top 50. And it'll pick a point for the origin of that land. And that land will have a box around it that is whatever the base size specifies, and then it will grow from there. And it will try to grow to fill whatever space it's allowed. If it's told to grow 100%, it'll come up here and it'll fill this entire space up right to the edge of that map right there. Otherwise, it'll just kind of go wherever it wants. So if we specify top and bottom, maybe like bottom 5%, then we'll have a keep away zone here. And then this land won't be able to grow in this space. It'll have to kind of grow around. Remember that borders are always talking about land growth. They're not talking about the base size of the land. So if I had a really large base size like this, it is possible that the land could still appear in the forbidden areas that are specified through border avoidance because it started out there. But it will not grow that way. So I have up to 4 arguments that I can specify to constrain the XY position of this land, if you will. I cannot make the land have a rotation like this because it was assumed that the organic growth would be large compared to the desired geometric shape, if you would, that this kind of rotation wouldn't be noticeable or necessary. So by specifying one more thing, by specifying the avoidance of the right edge by 30%, right? The avoidance of the left edge perhaps by 30%, the avoidance of the top edge perhaps by 30%, and the avoidance of the bottom edge perhaps again by 30%. We basically sketch all of these lines in, and we're left with a spot in the center of the map. And this is great for like making sure that the land is very fair. If we just specified a normal base in the middle, and then we told it to grow from there, well, you never know, right? It could form an amoeba-like appendage or something. So we're going to specify this land in the center using borders. And I've chosen 30%. So so we got DLC rainforest here. We want land percent 100. We want it to try to take up 100% of the land that it can. And we're going to go bottom border, top border, and then left and right. Left border and right border. Now there are a couple more arguments with borders, not many though. So if we come up here and we look at the border fuzziness, it's another thing in land generation. Right here. Border fuzziness, which we might care about. This is the extent to which land growth fully respects borders and actually stops at a border. So remember that whole thing that I explained about it, like avoiding edges and stuff like that? Well, it only kind of, there's like a weighting factor, if you will. It's another parameter that you can have. So if you specify a very low number, I believe it is, a negative value will cause the borders to be fully respected. If you specify a low value, then it'll give ragged looking edges. So we could experiment with that. But I think what I want to do is I want to just fully respect these borders. So we're going to have border fuzziness 100. All right, and we save. And now
there's two Z's and fuzziness, I think.
What? Yeah, that's what he has.
Yeah.
You think I mistyped it? Ah, yes, thank you. Okay, so now let us generate.
Uh,
Yes, so here it
okay.
is. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we have this rainforest in the center. It's quite a large space. We could tweak it. So for instance, if we wanted to make it smaller, we would increase this avoidance. So we'll increase it to, let's say, 40, for example. And it becomes smaller. So this will scale with the size of the map. So if we wanted to scale it for tiny, if we wanted it to be the same size, we would have to choose a different set of border values that would correspond to the correct number of tiles for that now larger or smaller, well, most likely smaller map. We're not going to do that right now because that is beyond the scope of the presentation. Jabari is a busy guy and we don't want to waste his time because that would be a little bit more complicated or more involved. So now let's go back and let's see how this plays with our created player lands. Notice that we're creating grass here. So our base terrain is jungle. We're creating player lands out of grass, and we're also putting this DLC rainforest terrain in the center. So let's see how this works. So as you can see, we've got kind of a wild patchwork, if you will. It's not 100%. It's hard to tell where this is, although you can kind of see it looking at the map, like this denser, thicker area here is the rainforest, and then this area out here, it's a little bit lighter, is the jungle. Maybe you guys can see it, but it's hard to see on the mini map. So here's what I think we're going to do now. Is I think that we're going to come here and we're actually going to specify this created land as maybe grass 2. I think grass 2 is a very lush type of grass. This will help us see it a little bit better. And I just kind of want to confirm by looking at the mini map that the player lands are avoiding it properly. Okay, so we indeed do have grass 2 here. And you can see that, okay, I haven't detected any case of intersection yet. I believe it should be avoiding it. But we could give it a zone as well. And I think our, well, no, this clearly looks like it's respecting it, which is good.
In
Okay.
my opinion, if we generate map and like 5 times in a row or something, it's not intersecting. That's enough proof positive to me.
The Jabari rule of 5, you guys. 5 is the magic number.
Well, ultimately, I do something like that to test the maps in the end. You know, even with the most polished maps, there's always bugged gens.
So now we're going to, we could play around with the terrain layering if we wanted. So for example, we could actually add some more forest in here. As to how we would keep the forest away from the center, I think that we could do this easily enough. So let us come over here to terrain generation, and now we'll create terrain. And just to have something different, we will say that that terrain is DLC rock to try to recreate what this King of the Hill would be hard-coded to create. And base terrain is going to be grass 2. Number of clumps, we only need 1. Land percent, we're going to have it try to fill 100% of the land. Height limits, we don't need. But we will do space and other terrain types. And we're going to do 15 for that. And we don't need to set scale by size. So there's only one instance of grass 2 right now in the terrain generation, and that's right here. So now we're going to create DLC rock, spacing of 15 tiles away from the edge. You can see that's just slightly too far. It's not quite big enough. You can still walls at the edge of this monument. Now, because this is using spacing other terrain types, this would have to be scaled according to the size of the map. So for now, though, let's just dial it down to 12. And we should get we should get a reasonable, there we go. Should get a reasonable square in the middle here for this monument. It's actually kind of funny that it's shaped a diamond in this way. And so now we could do something simple to just sort of pretty this up. We could, for example, if we don't want that to be a true perfect clearing, because this is supposed to be a black forest map, right? We could come in here and then we could say on this grass too, we could create terrain leaves, base terrain grass 2, number of clumps we could have be like 20, and maybe land percent. Oh shoot, I want this to be 100%. That's not going to change anything, like I said, though, because it's got to avoid other terrain types by a certain amount. Number of clumps, and then maybe land percent of 1, and space and other terrain types of, let's say, 3. And this will add some big groups of leaves in here, hopefully. And the reason that we're putting the leaves down first, though, is I want to put trees on top of it. Okay. Not quite. Close, but not quite. Well, we've already got the land percent to a minimum on that one. Space and other terrain types of 2, maybe?
Isn't there an attribute you can set so the clumps avoid one another?
No. Not with terrain generation. So they're supposed to inherently avoid one another. There we go. So that's kind of what they're doing here. And then what we can do is we can, now that we got the leaves down, and we kind of have them inherently, they're they're coded to, they're supposed to be able to avoid each other and not merge. Sometimes they do. This will prevent that, so that we can come in here, and then on top of those leaves we can create DLC rainforest. So we'll do DLC rainforest on top of base terrain leaves, and number of clumps as many as possible, land percent 100, and space and other terrain types will be 1 in this case. And we'll set scale by groups, by size, I think. All right. So this will put rainforest down on these leaves. And Jabari, you can go in and pretty this up or do whatever you want to it afterward.
Yeah,
but
no, this is good info for sure.
To get yourself some forest patches down that are like always going to be fair and such. You can see that it hasn't really taken here, which is kind of interesting to me. Let's keep this seed and see what's going on with that. Maybe I just need to repeat it. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to repeat a perfectly good command a couple of times to get it to take. But having this layer of leaves basically guarantees that even if these two clumps, like, all right, that's a little bit better. Even if these two clumps, let's say they merged right here, that the trees are more likely to be spaced out. Like they're not gonna block stuff. All right, let's give it just 2 more.
And I am also curious, do you know how to do the reveal all area?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Cool.
That should be no problem. Okay, here we go. So we got it. It's down. And do a couple more generations. But because we're placing the leaves down and then spacing the forest to on top of those leaves in an avoidance of minimum of 1, it prevents the monument from being too enclosed. So I think this is all right. It's not 100% perfect, but remember that we're still going to be adding connections in here. So let's come over here and let's do that next. That's really the elephant in the room. I'm not 100% too familiar with connections, but we did try them yesterday, or not yesterday, but last time, and it was okay. Let's move the, where do we want to put these? I guess we could put them down up here before objects. So we're going to have connection generation. And I think that we can actually just take the connections that are used for Amazon Tunnel. And we can literally copy and paste that and just change the terrains on it. So let's see. Objects. Let's find the connections. All right, here we go. Create connect to non-player lands. This is what we want. Replace terrain woodies with layer A. All right, and then connect all players' lands. So let's do, yeah, if Amazon free for all, let's do this. And then it's connecting team lands. We don't need to do that. Actually, I think there's an option. I think there is actually an option to connect all lands, which is what we want. Let's check. Elevation, connection. Create connect all lands. Yes. This is what we want. Okay. So we are going to copy this. And we're going to replace terrain jungle or jungle with road. And just as a quick trial to make sure that we're on the right track here, we'll be able to see pretty quickly. Oh, let us give ourselves, in the objects generation, let us give ourselves a town center too. We'll uncomment this, which is section of the code that's dedicated toward the town center. All right, and then we'll hit generate. And we'll see what that does. Okay. Not too shabby. We're going to need to adjust the costs here. And we're going to need to specify, we're probably going to want to accumulate connections as well. But as you can see, the jungles are getting replaced properly. So
yeah,
that's
this is actually
good.
kind of okay.
Well, we're not going to stop here. I mean, this is just getting started. All right, so Black Forest has a series of connection lands. Replace terrain, and then it has terrain costs associated with various terrains that you can find there. So, and it looks like it's under all the same create connections. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come back here to FFA, and we're going to say under connection generation, I think it's accumulate connections. And I think that helps kind of collect these into the same connection. So we'll keep this seed and we'll generate it again. Looks a little bit better. All right, and then the other thing that we're going to do is that road is killing me looking at that. We're going to replace it with Jungle Road. Here we go, DLC Jungle Road. Jungle Road. There we go. And we're also going to replace, so in addition to replacing jungle, we're going to replace terrain DLC Rainforest. With DLC Jungle Road. And then we're also going to replace terrain Grass with DLC Jungle Road. And then we're going to replace terrain Grass 2 with DLC Jungle Road. Okay. And we should put in some terrain costs as well. So I think we want it to go through grass and jungle. I think if we increase the costs, I think that will help to condense the connections, if you will. So we're going to come in here and say terrain cost, grass, all the terrains that it could potentially go through, jungle, DLC, rainforest, and then grass, and then grass too. Just grass too. All right, and then we will give these a cost of maybe 4. It's very, very finicky. It's highly unpredictable. So we're just gonna have to, you just basically have to try stuff. But this should be close. I think this is similar to what's in Black Forest. All right. They're really more so meant to be relative terms. And we can also adjust the width of these paths too. So, okay. So very, very thick path in this case. Almost a little bit too much. So we got to work on that a little bit. But I think that we can directly control the width of the path. But this is too much. This is too thick. These players didn't connect properly. Okay. So let us grab that. Replace terrain, terrain cost, terrain size. So we want terrain type, radius, and variance. Okay. Okay, so, and we need to specify something for each of these actually. So actually, I'm just gonna copy this. We're gonna go terrain size. And we're gonna reduce this down to like 2. And the variance will be 0. Okay. Let's give that a try. Okay, it still wants to generate the very thick connections, so we'll have to change the costs. We could actually decrease maybe grass and grass 2 to 2, and then jungle and rainforest down to 1, so it has an easier time carving its way through the jungle. Let's give that a try. Okay. Looks better. It's still a little thick. Maybe we can reduce the thickness further. 1 tile thick, perhaps. Yes, that did help. All right, so what do you think, Jabari?
So
Still there?
It's yeah. So it's basically good. I mean, yeah, it's cool. If it had all the boards and all the other res, I think this is actually chill.
All right, great. So one thing that you might
Can we see a few
consider,
more gens though, real quick? Can we just get a
yeah,
rapid fire?
one thing that you might consider is like this thickness. It seems like there's less forest now because of all these connections carving paths through. So
Hmm.
something that you might consider would be to increase this other zone avoidance distance. We can do a couple more gens though. Oops, that's the same seed.
Yeah, I think I would also prefer to replace the jungle road with something that shows up green on the mini map.
Green on the minimap, so it's harder to read.
Yes. I mean, the whole idea is that it's supposed to be a thick forest. It's what's important is that you can go to your neighbors and to the middle, not that the mini maps spell it out to you. Actually, in the traditional Black Forest generation, there's only road connecting allies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be more in the spirit of Black Forest for a free for all to actually have no roads.
Well, there is something else that we could do, and you might actually like this a little bit better, is we could connect, and I think there's a different option for this, to like non-player land. Let's
Yeah,
check.
that's kind of what I was assuming would be best, actually, is just to add a clearing, go with the base back Black Forest, and add connections from players to mid.
So one sec. So connection generation, create connect to non-player land. Yes. So here it is. So let's give that a try. Oops. Connect to non-player land. Okay. So if we stick with the same seed and we do this, the road should just lead to the monument. Okay, so we should increase the cost of the grass relative to the forest, I think, so that this player's path is a little bit more fair, because right now it leads him just to red. So let's try making that adjustment here. So we'll increase the cost of regular grass, and we'll decrease the cost of grass too. So the regular cost of grass is, let's try making that 4. The save, hit generate the same seed, and it should go there more directly now.
Yeah, this is so long as yeah, they are all arrive at the mid. This is pretty passable.
Well,
I kind
yeah,
of think
look
the
at
player
gray though.
paths could be a little thicker as well.
Could be a little thicker. Yes, that.
Maybe I'm just imagining the first guy to get to the mid could like wall everybody else out with like 8 stone wall tiles, but it's okay.
Well,
Yeah, this is appropriate for Black Forest.
we. That's why I said we could potentially add a ring of unbuildable terrain out here, so that
I don't like that.
whoever
Nah,
gets
this
to the
is
mid first cannot wall the players out of the mid. He can wall himself in if he wants, but he can't wall other people out of the
nah.
monument.
I don't want to. I don't want to introduce additional
All right.
unbuildable terrain. Yeah, I don't want the map to be additionally complicated.
So how can I get this path to go? See, this is jungle. So I guess we just keep increasing the cost here of grass. Well, the thing is that it's sort of, I think I need to increase the cost of jungle too, so that it tries to take a more straight approach. So let's try increasing it to 2. Because I think the reason it can afford this long approach is because the cost is so low. Aha! That looks much better. So that's a little better. So the higher the cost, the straighter the path it will be. So let's bump that up to 3. See if we can hammer that home. There we go. So now we can maybe tweak it. Let's see, what's the cost of grass 2? Grass 2 is a little bit expensive or a little bit cheap as well. Maybe increase this cost to 2 and increase the rainforest cost to 2, and that should give a little bit more direct of a path for red, so he's not coming over this way. His path leads right to the center. Yeah, not quite as good. Let's increase the cost a little bit more, I guess. Jungle was 3. Could try increasing the cost of jungle to 4, and then 3, and then 3. And then maybe the cost of regular grass up to 5 or 6. Let's see. I think we're going to go back to what we had. Jabari can play with it if he wants.
Yep, I think that's what I will end up doing, a little tweaking. I'll probably end up, creating a map pack for everything. I don't think, even if I'm just going with a default version of a map, I'm going to rebrand it and put it in a map pack anyways, so I expect to be just tweaking everything.
Let's see. Okay, I think that's what it was.
Honestly, this is good. This is like the pure, simple thing that we need. Like traditional Black Forest gen, where there's a guarantee that there's some space around the monument and every player can get there. That meets the needs.
Okay. Great. Oh man, I just really want it to look perfect. It's my temptation.
Well, there's so much that's still missing from this one, like the connections between players, all the rads, the relics. Yeah,
we're gonna add that next. We'll connect the players with grass. All right, that's gonna have to work for now.
But yeah, I do like the spider look where everybody has a road to mid.
Do a couple more generations. Yeah, I think this will be all right for now.
Yeah.
I mean, this player could kind of more easily cut this player off, but I think it's fine. Like he could just as easily walk over here and wall that player off too. One thing that I would recommend is we're also going to introduce another set of connections. And we're going to, I believe, connect the player lands is how it's called. Let's see. Create, connect all players land. Yes. So this is what we want. Create, connect all players land. And so we're going to be replacing the terrain jungle with grass in that case. And that's all that we're going to do. And the terrain cost of the jungle is just going to be 3. And the terrain size of the grass, I'm going to leave it at 1 for now. So then when we generate it again, these players should have openings in the clearings to each other. Except they don't. It's weird.
So I do wonder why you don't just borrow more from the original Black Forest script. Like these changes that we have now, couldn't everything you have now basically just be appended to the original script?
No. Because Black Forest is already doing create, connect all players land. And I think maybe what it's doing is it's doing this connection first. Maybe I don't want accumulate connections. Maybe that's confusing it. Maybe I want it to do the connections separately. No? Let's get rid of that for a sec. I know that create connect to non-player land is buggy. So let us generate this again real quick. Okay, so this looks like what we had. Maybe we do have to do connect all lands. The other thing is we could probably still use terrains to connect this stuff. Well, you choose, Jabari.
I mean, so I want to deviate from the original as minimally as possible. So anything that lets us wholesale copy the player connection creation script from the original, like connect. I don't know. I guess I have a much lower standard for code quality than you. I personally don't mind if the script has dead code or is bloated or whatever, so long as it works for this one 8-player free-for-all generation.
Mm-hmm.
So my methodology would be to start with the original Black Forest map and try injecting things rather than building from scratch. So I don't know. What if you copy the player land connection logic and insert it at the start of the connections section of the RMS script? I mean, I don't want to cramp your style.
I don't know.
Proficient.
I don't know that it would. I don't know that it would work. The ordering, if that's what you mean, to change the ordering around.
I have no idea, man. I'm an extremely novice map scripter, so.
All right, let's try something a little bit different then. Let's come over here to the Black Forest FFA, and we're going to do a base terrain of desert instead. Let's suppress the connection generation for now. Here we go. So we'll do base terrain of desert. So we hit generate, should get a bunch of desert around. Okay, so we got a bunch of desert around. Now, we'll come in here and we will say in terrain generation, before we ever repurpose this area in the middle, we come up here to terrain generation and we're going to say create terrain. Oh no, let's not. Maybe we should not call it desert. Maybe we should call it leaves. Nah, we'll call it desert for now. So we're going to create terrain jungle, and we're going to want to copy a lot of this stuff down here. Base terrain desert. Number of clumps, that's good. Land percent 100. Space and other terrain types, none. Set scale by size, and then we're going to do set avoid player start areas by like 20 or something. You might have to scale this again for the different sizes if you care. But we'll hit generate, and basically what this will do is this will fill in all desert that's a certain distance away from the town center. So we're going to need to change this number here. Set avoid player start areas maybe by like 30. Let's see if that's a little bit better. So this jungle will not be able to spawn within 30 of the player start area. So this is looking a little bit better here.
So okay. I hate to say it, but I feel like this level of terrain manipulation betrays the original Black Forest.
Let's go up to 35. Well, perhaps. Let me finish, and then you can decide. Okay, so this is essentially going to be a little bit better, maybe up to 40 here. All right, so basically what I'm doing is I'm just filling in the spaces of the map that are far away from players to give kind of a little bit more closed of a feel. And now we're going to go in and we're going to replace the rest of the desert sporadically with jungle. So we will create terrain, jungle, base terrain, desert. Land percent is going to be more like 10. And number of clumps is going to be more like, let's say, I don't know, 30. And it's not going to have a set avoid player start areas. Save. So then it will give patches in between. We should have space in other terrain types though. And actually, let us call it DLC Rainforest for now. Space in other terrain types of like 4. Okay. That's too much. We'll have to increase this other zone avoidance distance, which we could do. That is in land generation. Maybe decrease that to 2. Space in other terrain types. Okay, we need to decrease the amount of jungle now. Although this still looks like it didn't quite break through. So we need to keep this seed. Increase this avoidance to more like 44, and then maybe decrease this land percent from, or increase the number of clumps from 40 to 30. Let's try generating this again. Okay, I think the land percent needs to go down, or the number of clumps needs to go up significantly. Number of clumps maybe 80. Land percent of something like 4. Come at it from the other side. There we go.
I should also say I think I will need to go at the 1:30 time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're almost done here. So then we'll come back in and we will create terrain grass from base terrain desert. Land percent 100 and no space in other terrain types. Keep this seed again. All right, now let's reintroduce the connections. Save that. It's a little scarce, huh? Well, what do you think, Jabari? It's a little open.
I mean, honestly, dude, the defining attribute of Black Forest is that like 50% of the map area is forest, and what you have here is a unique free-for-all map, but I don't think that it is recognizable as the classic Black Forest.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But you certainly have shown me what I need to cherry pick, I believe, to, as I say, ensure the monument is accessible to all players from the start. Yeah. Like, what you have here is a unique map, for sure. It's certainly viable and playable, though, actually, as I say that, looking at the woods for some players, it is, it's almost like a low wood map. It's kind of like, I don't know. If you want to keep this map and name it something else, I think it's cool. But
hold on. Let's go back to what we had. Where base terrain was jungle. Save it. Generate it again. Okay, so this is without the connections. And then when we added the connections, create connect all lands, I think was the way that it was called. All lands, yeah. That's what we had originally. Let's try with these settings.
you know, this is potentially passable. Though it's like a hybrid of Black Forest, Amazon Tunnel. It's fundamentally just quite different from Black Forest.
Non-player land. So the biggest, so we'd have to decrease the size of the lands here, I think, for the players. If somebody knows of a way to connect these player lands while they're connecting to this non-player land, I think that's kind of the big thing that we're looking at here. Because it looks like when we try to connect these player lands to each other now, it doesn't work. Black Forest.
Yeah.
Can we think of another example of a map where players are connected to a neutral land and each other?
No, it's quite possible that it's not a thing because Black Forest is not even offered as one of the free-for-all King of the Hill maps, whereas Amazon Tunnel is. I know every experienced map scripter says the connections are kind of a wonky, wacky thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'll experiment it with a little, and truthfully, if I can't get it after that much time, I might just swap Black Forest for Amazon Tunnel in the map pool, and I might label it something like I might literally just call it Black Jungle Tunnel or something like that.
Well, if you can get rid of the relics and the neutral resources in the center, I think that could help out a lot. Let's try generating Amazon Tunnel in these settings with no teams and see what it looks like.
Yeah, this is honestly a kind of cool free-for-all setup.
But Jabari, look, they're not connected to each other in this one
Indeed,
either.
indeed. I would strongly prefer a traditional Black Forest. This is also a little bit too orderly. It's just like there's something about Black Jungle that just captures the classic random map feeling. Like to me, Black Forest. It was the longest time before I realized even how regular the spawns were. You know that the players are equidistant with their own resources or everything. It really did just look to me like a truly random environment that the TCs were plopped down in.
We could try something else actually. I just had another idea, and that is we've got these in the land generation we have this set of this other zone avoidance distance. If we added this to the neutral land instead, then I think that these player lands as they grow would only apply their avoidance to the neutral land. So this would allow player lands to grow into each other. Let's see what happens when I do that. It'll probably look a lot more chaotic.
You know, this is potentially passable. I'm not super concerned that they aren't strictly all connected to their neighbors.
We could actually make it more fair by increasing the base size too. So we could increase the base size to maybe like 20. And because it's grass, nobody will notice.
I worry about the total tree cover.
Oh, we can add more trees later. But yes, 20 might be a little bit too much. Maybe 15. There's some levers that you've got that you could try.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, honestly, I'll probably spend a total of maybe 4 hours tops prepping the map pack. So if things don't work quite quickly, there's a very good chance I will opt to just go the Amazon tunnel route. But yeah, I might need to try it myself. The strategy of starting with the base Black Forest map and working up, just seeing if there's something that I can add into there that would do the trick. The one thing though that I definitely want to learn from you if I can is the all visible trick.
Right. So let's get it back to kind of the way that it was. Base size was 12. Other zone avoidance distance we're going to add. Actually, I think it uses whichever one is lower. So let's cut this and we'll paste this back up here. We'll kind of try to put it back to close to the way that it was. I do think that what we have right here is better than the Amazon tunnel that you were looking at because the player positioning is a little bit more random and organic, maybe a little bit more unpredictable, but maybe also kind of less fair too. But there's a bigger potential to chop through and challenge your opponent on this side, and it could probably be adjusted to do that more effectively. But anyway, so let's see if we can spawn some map revealers in here. So there is an object. We look it up in the constants list, which I'm bringing up now.
Are these constants lists linked to in that main Zetness file? I've like seen these before, but I always have trouble. I need to collect all these resources in a common place.
Yes, they are also in the server.
Cool.
So looks like map revealer is just number 837. So we're going to come over here, and actually looks like it's predefined. Yeah, it's predefined, so we don't even care what number it is. But we'll come down here to object generation. Actually, you know what, Jabari? I'll show you that. I'll show you this first to make sure that we do it. But I actually have another idea. So let's come over here to objects, objects, objects. Okay. So we're going to create object map revealer. And we're going to set place for every player. And I don't think we need to find closest. But we're going to have number of objects 9999, and then temp min distance group placement between the objects, let's just say 2. And it's going to place all these invisible objects that just reveal the map in a certain area. And then actor area to place in, we're going to have that be 9998. So we're going to come up here to where we create this monument. We're going to say create actor area 9998, and then actor area radius, let's say 20. So now it should put all of these objects down. We can actually test with a flag in the scenario editor to make sure that we're not forgetting or overlooking anything. But each player should get flags now within this actor area. Let's see. No.
Looks
How
like
much?
PCs are
how
gone
much?
too.
Oh wait. Set place for every player. Something's not right here. Maybe number of groups. And I think that we need to place the town center first. That's a bug. Okay, now the monument is missing. Something about this that isn't quite right. So let's see if we can find closest. And let's just see if we can place those flags in the first place. Okay, so the monument gets placed. The flags do not appear. Oh, there is no flag object. It's flag A. Silly me. Flag doesn't exist. All right, so now when I generate it, we should have a flag A spawning as close as it can to the town center, which is just right here. The flag does not respect that the town center is already there. Okay, good. So now we'll come back up. We'll go actor area 9998, and then actor area radius of 20. Okay, and then these flags must be actor area to place in. We're going to place that in 9998. And we're going to have a large number of groups. Maybe like 200. And then temp min distance group placement of 4. So they'll be spaced 4 apart. No monument. What the heck? Okay, so let's place the monument first. Oh, you know what? I think that we have to declare the actor areas in the correct order. So we actually need this to be 998. I think it doesn't allow the actor areas to be placed out of order. 8. And this is actor area 999. Okay, let's give that a try. No monument, no flags. So if we if we comment out the flag, and we save it, do we get the monument? Nope. So I'm wondering if this monument can't have... No, that's absurd. The monument has to be able to actor area to place in. Actor area 999. All right, well, let's try something different. Let's get rid of that. If we get rid of that, the monument should spawn properly.
Well, ultimately, this monument is just like for debug purposes.
Yeah, but it should be working is the thing. Now it's not even spawning. So building the town center first. So the town center second. Assuming that you can get... Okay, so the monument wants to be first for whatever reason. And so now let's try giving the monument an actor area. Actor area 9999. Actor area radius 20. Okay, so that's all we did. That's all we changed. Now we hit generate again. And the monument should still appear there. Don't tell me it's become illegal to assign actor areas to monument. Okay, good. The monument is still there. So now let's try reviving this flag code now that we know that we can put an actor area on that monument. And now let's try getting those flags. Okay, it's only placing the flags for the first player, which is very annoying. I think this is actually a bug, but there is a workaround. So we're getting somewhere. So now we're going to create this invisible, we're going to create flag A, where we're going to set Gaia object only. Okay. And instead of placing within that actor area, we're going to avoid actor area 9999. 9999. All right, and this is going to be, these are going to be invisible Gaia objects. We've got them as flags. You could change them to any invisible object you want. And they are going to be outside of that region. So yes, there they are. Their temp min distance group placement is not being applied correctly, which is unfortunate. Oh, it's because there are 200, only 200 of them. So we want 9320. Set scale by size. Look up to see what the exact set scaling to map size. So and we want 10,000, I think. So the spacing should be 4. That should work much better now. All right, so they are out here. They're still not avoiding each other properly. Tempman distance group placement of 4. Whatever. All right, we're going to give them actor area 10,000, an actor area radius of, let's say, 6. And then now we're going to create object, and we're going to call it flag B. That's what we'll change to the map revealer. And we're going to set place for every player. Tempman distance group placement of 4. And we're going to have it avoid actor area 10,000. Okay. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, everybody's got everybody has flags in the middle. And how many of these flags did we try to spawn? I think we only tried to spawn 1. Yeah, so we want number of groups 10,000. It'll try to spawn 10,000 of these. They'll be spaced apart by 4 tiles, so we don't have to worry about overcrowding. And it's got these bizarre... Oh, technically it's because they're avoiding... They can't avoid the other players unless they avoid their own actor area. So that's fine though, because ultimately each of these are going to be applied to each player. And we want the player to see everywhere, right? We don't want player 1 to be able to see just what's up here and player 2 just to be able to see what's over here. But you can tinker with the spacing for that. The final thing we're going to do is we're going to convert it to the invisible object map revealer.
Cool.
Save that, and then let's just boot it up in single player real quick to confirm that it works.
Sweet.
Single player skirmish. I've gone over your allotted time, Jabari. I'm sorry about that. It took me a little bit.
It's okay, man. I appreciate the help very much. Yeah.
Sometimes it just fights you, you know. All right. So we'll put.
Nah, this is informational for sure. It's just between work and other things in life and the other tournament adminning, I'm just feeling slammed as hell these days.
All right. So we will go up here and we will select, if it'll let us, come on. Here we go. Black Forest FFA, so that was nice. It was right on top. Whatever. Last man standing. It's fine. Okay.
Game mode. I was gonna say let's go for King of the Hill, but it shouldn't matter for testing the all visible area.
Actually, it might. So in your case, you can't declare something in the middle. Hold on. I actually don't know how that would work. That would be a good thing to test. So let's test it first like this, and then we'll test it with King of the Hill. So as you can see, there are all of these flags here that are Gaia unconvertible flags. But the important thing is we have visibility to the center of the map.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
So now let's test it with King of the Hill to make sure that it doesn't kill what we had originally. It honestly might try to kill what we had originally, and then we'll have to think of something different. because it's all built around that central monument. But maybe we can use the unique terrains. You know, like we could put it down on grass too, or DLC rainforest, something that we know is going to be out there. So we'll go single player, skirmish, and we'll choose game mode King of the Hill. And let's test it again. Yes. So I think that this might not work, actually. I think this might kill it. But we'll see. The advantage of the actor area method is it doesn't tie your hands with regards to terrain types, which is preferred. Yeah, so in this case, the area in the middle is not all visible. Marco Polo. Oh, wait a second. I didn't even select Black Forest, so no wonder it didn't work. Whoops. We will do that real quick. So it's going to be King of the Hill settings, but we need to make sure that we pick the right map. What? Black Forest FFA was selected. What the heck? Let me try reselecting it to make sure that DE knows that this is the map we want.
Yeah, that's peculiar. There's no way that your old map script could have generated what we were seeing.
Yes. All right. Yeah, what we saw was coastal, I believe.
Beautiful.
Okay, looks like it still works. Okay. You might want to tweak with the settings a little bit. There is a little bit of unexplored, invisible territory here.
Indeed, but yeah, the fundamental trick I understand. Yep. Not sure if I want this large of an area around it revealed, but yep, it's good to know the trick. Yeah,
you can always modify it, tweak it, play with the numbers. The final thing that I was going to mention to you is that we could keep all of these connections and such. And let me just go back here to the editor. And I had one more idea, which might be simpler. Oops. With regards to getting the connections between the players that you want. So we'll go generate it on large, Black Forest, FFA. Oops. Players. 8. Okay. Well, first of all, if you did, I'll send you the script afterward. You'll want to make these flags invisible objects. I think the reason why there's so many is actually because they're being spawned on a per player basis. So if we came here, yeah, we don't want to set place for every player. I think that's why that's happening. That's why it's generating duplicates. Just came to me. Just like that. You ever have a project you're working on and just it comes to you instantly? So that'll kind of, yep, that'll make this smoother to generate. It'll generate faster now.
Sweet.
And then the other thing that we could do is, because they look very similar, we could actually come up, and we could create terrain DLC rainforest on top of base terrain jungle. And we could land percent 100 set skill, I said space and other terrain types, nothing. And we could do like set avoid player start areas. Avoid player start areas by like, I don't know, 35. And what that will do is it will create rainforest in some like safe areas. So this is rainforest back here now, and then it transitions into jungle later. I wish there were a better way of accomplishing it. maybe the whole thing is you don't really know whether or not you're going to have an opening to your opponents. But we could also probably resolve this by allowing the land to grow a little bit more. So if we kept this seed and we allowed the land to grow a little bit more, maybe like 80. Yeah, so that's a little bit too much, but the idea would be is that you could then come in and replace some sections of jungle with grass. 80 is way too much. Maybe 60.
Cool. Yeah, the more trouble I see you having with it, the more I'm inclined to just go with Amazon Tunnel, to be honest. There's just nothing like the polish of the stock maps, you know?
So I'm just trying to give this an advantage over Amazon Tunnel.
Indeed. No, I would have preferred Black Forest for sure. Like I said, even if I go with some Amazon Tunnel variant, I'm almost inclined to call it Black Forest as a just to get people's nostalgia going.
Where was I? Create terrain. Then you could then make grass. Off of the jungle. Not land percent 100, but maybe like land percent 10 or something. Number of clumps 200. So to generate some openings. I don't have time to tweak this while you're here. But I really do think that you can use terrains to unite these players.
Okay, I mean,
I think
I
it's
might
possible.
try it, but like I say, there's so many things to do that, yeah, especially for a map that will only be played once. Yeah, I'm inclined to limit the amount of time spent on any task.
It would be nice to have a Black Forest map.
A Black Forest that's appropriate for free for all might be a popular thing if you're able to achieve it. Yes.
All right. So anyway, this should get you what you need for now. If you can find anybody that is more familiar with connections than I am, that knows how to link the players to each other, that would be something that I would love to learn about. I might actually post this in the RMS.
Yeah, the RMS server. Discord tends to have an idea for everything.
See if anybody has an idea for it. But I do think I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it with this. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time in terms of tweaking and experimenting with it. I was really hoping that it could handle connections to all, or that you would like connect all lands, that what we originally did. But it generated roads between players.
You achieved it, but it's just like it became too different from the original Black Forest.
If the players were connected, yeah, to each other, it would show them a path to each other. I'm just trying to think of what, if it would be acceptable to have grass. Well, it would. Maybe you could, replace the terrain between the players with grass, but the terrain between players and the center could be road. But then there's going to be a section of it that is. Oh, you know what? What would really help with this would be circular placement too. Let me throw that in there. Circle radius for you. So I don't think it has it. Yeah, it doesn't have it. This will give a more consistent starting arrangement as well. Circle radius of like 30 and 0. For an FFA, I think that is essential, that everybody starts the same distance away from the center. So, and then we can maybe decrease this or increase it. So you can adjust the circle radius with this, and you can even decrease the land percent. It was 50 originally, generated again. But if the players have a more consistent spacing, I mean, you might be able to target thin sections like this using terrain manipulation. Up to you. I'll send you this script. Good luck with it, Jabari. I hope that you can use it.
I appreciate the help very much.
So where can you sent me a link? I will include that in the description of the video. So folks are interested in the tournament, they know where to sign up. When do signups close?
They'll be open until the games are full. The first day is already full. There's a few slots left in the second day, a few more left for the second week. I think right up until the buzzer, we'll keep a few slots open just in case Viper decides to sign up with like 1 day to go. But at this moment, there's still ample sign-up slots, so anybody who signs up soon should get to play.
Okay. And when does that buzzer go off? When is
the games
event?
are the next 2 weekends, December 3rd, 4th, 10th, and 11th.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jabari.
Cool. Thank you so much, TechMan. Yep. See you around.
Yep. See you, Jabari.
Yo.
So, guys, we're going to send this script to Jabari. Appreciate him joining, giving some direction for what he's looking for. It's a lot of tweaking, and connections are just so weird and bizarre. We got him his connections to the center, but it looks like there's, he doesn't really like the roads connecting, which is kind of part of a package deal. So there might be a way to connect with just grass from player to player and then roads to the center. Maybe if anybody has an idea for how to do that, let me know, and we'll update the script and send it to him. Otherwise, we'll leave it open for questions now. If anybody has any questions, I can help them with. Something that they're working on with a scripting project, but yeah, we got this. We got the monument with a clearing in the center with some trees around it, and we have the paths to the center. I just wish we could have gotten something a little bit more. Oh, let's come in here and let's tinker with clumping factor 30 maybe. So that should help. Lands are a little bit more evenly sized. And let's come in here and let's decrease this land percent down to 40. Okay, it looks a little bit more black foresty, I think, a little bit more enclosed. Might want to increase this thickness a little bit, but it could also be interesting to chop through. So maybe we increase that thickness just a little bit to 8, perhaps. We're still all stuck on the same seed. I suppose we could adjust that. So then in terrain generation, we're going to come over and let us uncomment this, because I do think that we can adjust this. Stop me at any time if you have any questions you want to work on your script, and we'll change the subject here. So we're going to create DLC Rainforest. And instead of set avoid player start areas, I have another idea. What if we do space into other terrain types and we do it like 5? Not the avoiding the player start areas, but that should allow it to avoid these these areas here. We hit generate, so it should occur only in like the corners and stuff that the rainforest will happen. Yep, there it is. Let us maybe we come down here and other zone avoidance distance will make that 10. And we'll make this space and other terrain types equal to 6. So we'll try thickening that up just a little bit more. We're already, all these wonderful things are happening. Look at this. We're already starting to open up pockets between the players. I like that. I like that a lot. Let's keep with it. Maybe we increase this radius to 35, and then other zone avoidance distance to 12, and space and other terrain types up here to 7. So it's more than half. Okay, I think I want to decrease the amount of land now that's given here. Maybe we make this 30. Oh, and we want to make it, actually no, let's leave it at 40, but to make it more fair and consistent, we'll do behavior version 1. Oh, we already have it behavior version 1. Okay, perfect. So then we'll do this at 30. So we decrease the size of these a little bit. Nice. So we're starting to open up these pockets here, but we need to increase this percentage to 20, I think. And it's already, let's make it a multiple of 8, so 240 and 20%. This wasn't quite right. You can see that there is a thin stretch of the DLC rainforest terrain there. So I think we need to increase that space and other terrain types for the DLC rainforest. Let's make that maybe 9. Okay, we got some openings between players now. So let's dial that up just a little bit. Maybe like land percent. The number of clumps we'll try. Well, no, we'll do land percent like 30. And number of clumps we'll dial up to 3, 2. So we'll dial it up proportionately. That's too much, but it's close. Go back down to 20. So these thin sections here, you might be able to chop through. You might be able to kind of attack, but it's still not quite there. So I think we will increase that to 30, but we'll decrease this to 20. So kind of taking away from the predetermined land, if you will. I don't like that as much. Let's maybe decrease this to 25. Something to give more forest. And I think we are going to program more avoidance for this rainforest space and other terrain types of maybe like 11. I think that could be the weak link. Everything else would fall into place. I like that. Number of clumps maybe 480. No, it needs to be smaller. It needs to be like 240. Land percent 20. Let's see, you got some other clumps which are, you know what? Wait a second. We want space and other terrain types here. So that way it's chased away from this rainforest, which isn't referenced. It's pretty easy to wall. Let's try increasing that to 4 now. It'll chase it away from the rainforest a little bit more. Opening and gap. We have a little bit thicker of an area toward the monument. So maybe we should draw the players in a little bit closer. Adjust that. We have circle radius of 35. Let's try 30. Of course, then it would require a new set of conditions, huh? I think I liked 35 better. But maybe we bump this back up to land percent 30. Could spend all day tweaking this. Come back up to terrains. The grass, maybe land percent 24. Bump that up. Do we have it? Is this it? Yeah, I think this is it. I don't know that there's an opening here, but the possibility of an opening is quite significant. You can see what the spacing of other terrain types did. It's causing this to avoid this. This is wide open though. Jeez. What if we increase the base size of these player lands? Maybe increased it to 14. Maybe increase this circle radius by 1. Keep the seed and see if that makes it look any better. A little bit. But there's no true channel or passageway the way that I had wanted. Decrease this base size. Back to 12. Land percent, maybe 28. Well, I think we have to leave this where it is, and we have to basically... Oh, the other zone avoidance distance is also quite large. We increase that to 18. Space and other terrain types is... we'll decrease that to 10. And 2. Let's try that. Yeah, I think this is what where we're gonna leave it. I'll send this to him. See what he thinks. But it's definitely very finicky. At least we got most of what we came for, but still, I'm worried that he's just going to use Amazon Tunnel because it requires no work. But damn, wouldn't this be cool? I think this would be a lot of fun. But beyond the scope of today's video, I think we did most of it. We got the clearing in the middle. We got the map revealers that he's looking for. We got the paths. And we sort of got connections between the players. Although maybe there is a better way of doing it. I'm not sure. But it's been a quiet day. Hopefully, maybe everybody will watch later. Maybe it's a busy day. It is the day after Thanksgiving, so probably a lot of folks have been spending time with their families, which is a good thing. But for those of you that were here, that were watching, following the story, watching us tweak things until we can get something that looked just right, realizing that the connections don't look the way that he was, looking for. Thank you for being here. It's been fun, and hopefully I will see you guys again soon.